Hi guys, Yong here, and Happy New Year to all of my subscribers and followers over here on YouTube. I hope you guys have a great Christmas, end of year celebration, of course, the new year coming into 2021. And of course, I do hope that this year we do see some sign of positivity coming in. Okay, I believe many people hope that 2020 is past, especially with the pandemic and COVID-19. Okay, so in this video, this very first video of the year, okay, I would like to share with you some of the updates that I have based on the macro, bigger picture perspective and research that I've done. And hopefully I'll be able to give you an insight, right off at the start of the year to prepare yourself moving forward. Okay, so in this video, what we're going to cover is I'm going to share with you the first quarter of 2021. What are some of the macro perspective? What are some of the things that perhaps is good information for you to consider when you're doing your own trading investing? Okay, so now, first thing here is that I'm using a macro system where I would say a systematic approach where I analyze the macro environment in the financial market. Okay, so when I talk about macro environment here, we are not referring to any particular asset in the financial market, right? So it's not in like specific in terms of like the currency market, commodities, or even the stock market. When we are talking about macro perspective here, we are referring to the entire financial market. Okay, and this is important because it provides me with an information of how liquid the current environment is. Okay, and a general tip here is, of course, the more liquid the financial market is, the more it's going to be supported, and the less liquid it is, where the opposite here we are talking about tightening, is where you're going to see the financial market starts to come back down. Okay, so from last year in December, based on our system, the macro environment has a liquidity factor of 5. Okay, the maximum score in our system here is 8, and the least that it can get in the system is -8. Okay, so 5 for last year December was pretty good, pretty liquid, right? And that's where we see this financial stock market is being supported. At the same time, okay, general assets are still very liquid, but for now, update for January 2021, what I'm seeing over here is based on our indicators, the macro liquidity environment has dropped to 0. Okay, so it's quite a huge change because we're having 5 last month, and this month here, starting the year, we dropped to 0. Okay, so something to take note of. It doesn't mean that it's definitely going to be a bearish start for 2021, but it just tells me that the financial conditions are tightening. Okay, and we might be seeing a deeper correction perhaps in the stock market, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in the first quarter of 2021. Okay, another indicator that I track over here is what I call the stock barometer. Okay, and generally it looks into the S&P 500, base it on a 200-day moving average, where is the current index is. Okay, and that gives me a good sense as to, is the market overbought or is the market oversold? Is it a good time to pick up stocks and invest aggressively into the market, or is it time to be cautious and perhaps start profit taking? Okay, and right now this particular indicator is telling me to be cautious. In other words, again, with this in mind, I wouldn't be very aggressive in entering new positions into my investment or even into trading, but I would be a little bit more cautious and perhaps start to be more aggressive in taking profits off the table. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the macro environment. So something that I would like to share with you guys right at the start of the year to keep you guys updated on this, so that if you're actively trading and investing in the financial market, this is perhaps an insight that would give you a different perspective. Okay, now another tip, or I wouldn't say tip, right? Another part of my research is I look into historical data and statistics, analyze recurring patterns in the past to help me make my trading investing decision, because I would like to have some statistics to back up the decisions that I made in the financial market. Okay, and this is the part where I also look into what we call the 4-year cycle. Not sure how many of you are aware of this, but the 4-year cycle here is there in the financial market where some traders and investors look into it because it's based on the US election cycle. Okay, so every 4 years there will be an election in the US, and this cycle here does affect the financial market as well. Okay, so the 4-year cycle here, of course, 2020 we do have the election, that's called the election year. This year in 2021, that's what we call the post-election year. Next year is the midterm, and the following year then will be the pre-election. So if you take a look at it, right, 2019, 2020, that's your pre-election and election year, and right now we're in the post-election. Okay, and based on a 91 years of data, based on historical pattern, based on 91 years of data, where we are right now in terms of post-election, okay, I'm looking at the financial market over here. The data suggests that it's not gonna be bullish, or it's not gonna be very negative or bearish. Okay, so data here based on the 91 years historical suggests that this window of period, the first quarter of this year, we're gonna have about 57% probability that the stock market is gonna rally. Okay, so it's not really like very high because it's just about 50+% probability, half. Okay, and if I take a look at the average return, what does this mean? Average return means that if for the past 91 years, okay, and every post-election first quarter I invest into it, okay, that's the average return that we're gonna get, right, for the past 91 years. Okay, it's not a lot. Okay, the average return here is only 0.9%. Okay, now what does this mean is that it's just basically flat. Okay, which means that if you just basically invest every time in the post-election year for the first quarter, you didn't really make much money. You made perhaps close to an average of 1%. Okay, in 3 months' time. Okay, now that's not bad news, but it just suggests that you're not gonna be very profitable if you're just doing passive investing like that. Okay, so what does this statistics tells me is that perhaps it's gonna be flat for the first quarter of this year. Okay, but of course not all stocks are gonna be flat. So that tells me that passive investing into index for the first quarter of the year right now in 2021 is not gonna be beneficial to most traders and investors. Okay, you're gonna be flat in your equity curve, but what you want to do then is to perhaps go down towards individual stocks and take a look at which stocks has the highest tendency to perform. Okay, and there are many approaches, methodologies to do that. You can look into like sector rotation, how the economic cycle affects it, which cycle we are in right now, what are some of the cycle or sector that tends to perform. You look into those individual stocks. You can also, of course, look into potential upcoming trend. For example, like I think EV is one of the trend, AI is one of the upcoming trend, clean technology, that's also a new trend. Okay, so you can look into all this individual companies to perhaps position yourself better for the first quarter of the year. Okay, and this year of course is unique as well. We do have like COVID-19 last year, so pharmaceutical stocks like mRNA. Okay, I can't really remember the ticker symbol. Okay, Moderna, Pfizer. Okay, these are some of the companies that perhaps would benefit from the upcoming vaccine as well. Okay, so you can look into all this. Okay, now I hope this sharing here is not too gloomy. Okay, but really just very objectively present to you all this data or the statistics. And I want you to also receive all this information objectively, right, based on a statistical point of view. And I'm not suggesting you guys to, invest, trade, or stay out, right? This is not really a recommendation, but I just wanted to present to you as objective as I can, the numbers, the statistics, to help you make your own informed trading investing decision. Okay, and if you really enjoy something like this, I'm having an upcoming webinar. This is a webinar that is jointly organized by CMC Markets as well as the SGX Singapore Exchange. So we're going to be sharing with you a little bit about my approach, my analysis and research methodology into the global financial market. Okay, and we're definitely going to focus a little bit more on the stocks for this upcoming webinar. So if you'd like to join us, it's free. Okay, I will drop a registration link below this video here, but do take note of the date and the time is upcoming. It's gonna be happening on the 11th of January. Let me just do a very quick double check. Okay, it's gonna happen on the 11th of January, which is this upcoming Monday. It'll be starting at 7 p.m. Okay, so it's gonna be online. So it doesn't matter where you are really, you just have to register and you'll be able to attend this webinar. Okay, so again, that's why it's very important for you to subscribe to the channel, because again, this information here sometimes are timely. If you miss it, then you know it's gone, it's missed. All right, so that's why if you've yet to subscribe to the channel, make sure you do that. Click onto the notification button so that whenever a video like this is being released, you'll be the first one to be notified, and you will not miss out on such opportunity. Okay, so I hope I did give you some different insights. You benefited from this video as well. It's the start of the year. Okay, so I would take things a bit slow in the financial market as well. If you have any particular topics that you would love to learn more about this year with regards to perhaps trading, investing, or even finance, let me know in the comments below. Okay, so I would have some suggestions on what are some of the topics that you guys would like to know, and that will give me some ideas as to what to share, what to talk about. Okay, so I hope that helps, and with that, I'll see you in